Cole has gotten a lot of scenes and episodes, and this video will be in honor of Kirby Morrow, his voice actor, who unfortunately did pass away. As I said before, Cole has gotten some great scenes, and I want to discuss them in, his voice actor's honor. So, I am Luke the Nindroid, and today I will be counting down my top 5 favorite Cole scenes. Cole bonding with Baby Woo, and then eventually Kid Woo, and then I think eventually Teen Woo from seasons 8 to 9 was definitely one of his higher points. To a lot of fans, this bonding is really what made Cole their favorite ninja. I can absolutely see why. This is the legit opposite of what Woo did to him when Woo found Cole immediately, and we'll get to that scene later. And to me, this is the complete opposite. It's a very unique parallel that a lot of people actually don't really see that much. So, yeah. And especially just the whole banter between between Cole and Kid Woo, especially when, Cole tries to use Woo's own wisdom when he's a kid, and then Kid Woo is just being an absolute savage and says, "I borrowed it earlier, just like how you borrowed my wisdom." I thought it was hilarious. And, just their bonding is extremely well, and definitely deserves a spot on the list. Cole meeting Woo for the first time, as I said in the number 5 entry, was definitely a pivotal moment for his character, as, before he met Woo, he didn't really have a father figure in his life. He did have a father, but he sort of kind of abandoned him once his mother unfortunately passed away. And Woo, when in Sons of Garmadon, there's a flashback during the Jade Princess episode where it's basically an expanded version of what we saw in the pilots with Cole finding Woo in the mountain. It further elaborates what's going on in Cole's mind, as he just lost his mother, and he has to be the responsible one and do all the chores, since all his dad is doing is singing and dancing with his Royal Blacksmith group. And he asks Woo, how can he sing and dance in a time like this? And it's a lesson that we kind of had to learn, during, when people were posting a lot of leaks around the time of Kirby Morrow's passing. Grief takes many forms. Some sing, some dance, some climb mountains. And then Cole asks, why did you climb the mountain? And then Woo asks, to find you, Cole. That's how much of an influence Woo has had over Cole's life, to the point where Cole will do anything and everything to find him, with these words, "And I'll find you, Master." I need you to promise me, Cole, that you will stand up to those who are cruel and unjust. Those words define this one scene. Basically, it's a flashback from the newest season of Ninjago titled Master of the Mountain, where Cole has a flashback of, he and his dad see his dying mother, Lilly, in supposedly her deathbed. She's sick. I don't know what sickness she had, but she's sick. And then, Cole hugs her and asks this simple question, or says this: "I don't want you to be sick anymore, Mom." And then Lilly replies with, "I know, but sometimes we don't get what we want." And then Lilly talks to Cole about his day at school and how Cole got into a fight with a bully. And he got into a fight at school, and he promises to Lilly that he won't fight anymore and he'll make her proud. And then Lilly says, "I already am proud of you." And that's where the words I mentioned in this entry were stated. And that you'll stand up to those who are cruel and unjust. Always. Always. And this promise is what led Cole to defeat the Skull Sorcerer in pretty much the most epic way possible, as you can see with my next entry. Lilly's promise to Cole is the sole reason for why he defeats the Skull Sorcerer in Season 13. And this is a scene that culminated in his defeat. Cole unlocks a technique that only his mother used. And I actually will explain, we'll talk about in another video about the abilities that some Cole's has, like the Earth Punch or the Spinjitzu Burst. And how really only he can use his, but not the ninja. But that's another thing that I want to talk about in a different video. But anyway, basically he unlocks the Spinjitzu Burst, which his mother used to defeat Griefbringer, and not what the Geckles and Munts told him it was, which were the Blades of Deliverance. So he unlocks the Spinjitzu Burst by basically remembering his promise to his mother, and how he will stand up to those who are cruel and unjust, always. And this what led him to defeat the Skull Sorcerer, and basically kill the Skull of Hazador, basically ending the reign of the Skull Sorcerer, aka King Vangelis. You might be wondering why I picked this over the Spinjitzu Burst scene. Well, in light of Kirby Morrow's tragic passing, this episode means all new things to me. It means so much more to me now than it did before he passed away. And overall, I just really adore this episode. This episode just speaks so much volumes as what Cole as a character is. He will do anything to, save his friends. He'll even do anything to please his own father during a dance competition. That's how driven he is. So in this episode, as you all know, Cole, finally gets word of, his dad, and, because they want to get the next Fang Blade. Which involves, a lot of stuff, including seeing his father again after a lot of years, even though Cole ran away from his house. Basically, Lou abandoned him, in a sense, after his mother's passing. And the scene in which, Lou says, I cannot accept, or at least I cannot stand up for any son who thinks stealing is right, and not allow you to besmirch our family name. A lot of people take that as an allegory for coming out, which is coming out as a trans person or a gay person. Which I could absolutely see that, because that is a very similar real life example of what that scene could be. But that's just an interpretation. But in the end, this episode speaks loads of volumes as to what Cole's character is, and just him unlocking the true potential is just the cherry on top for me. And to me, this is why that episode as a whole is my favorite scene from Cole as a character.